Let's take a look at the field for a moment, Craig.
This is really one of the strongest fields in this competition, Charlie. I'm looking for some of the guys like Hagen Meltzer of East Germany. He'll have a blue top on, one of the top steeplechasers in the world the last couple of years. And, of course, Henry Marsh and Jim Cooper of the United States. Marsh was the #1 in the world last year, had the fastest time in the world, and he's the American record holder. See,
help the matters much, does it? The 3,000-meter steeplechase, we talked about Henry Marsh, the American record holder. Well, let's take a Goodwill look at him.
But I've never given up. And last year, at 31 years old, was the best year of my life. Well, I think that I've been given a talent, and when you're given a talent and it's been so good to you as it has to me, running, and particularly when you're in the public eye, then I think you have a responsibility to put something back into it. And I am asked to speak a lot, and so I feel a responsibility to, particularly, you know, a lot of times I don't realize the impact that I have on youth. And a lot of times people come to me, parents, and they'll say, you know, we drove by your office, and that's all our kid could talk about was, hey, that was Henry Marsh's office. You know, and you don't think about that. You know, you're out trying to do the best you can athletically or with your family or professionally or religiously. And you're not really thinking about maybe what impact you have on other people. But when those stories get back to me, then I realize that I got a responsibility and obligation to go out and try to influence for good as many people as I can. And so I try to use those opportunities to talk to youth and encourage them to do worthwhile things with their lives and motivate them to try to be successful in their lives. One of the greatest benefits of my running has been the time that I have been able to spend, particularly with my children, to go to their soccer practices, to have them go to my workouts with me. And a lot of times I'll take them down to my workouts and they'll play in the sand pit while I'm running laps. And a lot of times we've traveled together as a family and done training trips, gone to Arizona when it's snowing, or we went to Disneyland during the Olympic year and trained for 2 weeks. And so I've tried to incorporate my family and my children into my schedule, and being able to have a flexible schedule enables me to adapt a lot. And in the mornings, while my wife goes to aerobics, I can work out on the treadmill in the basement and tend, you know, the children if they're back here. And so that's been a very, very positive aspect of running. And it's hard for me to imagine having to get up and leave the house and be gone all day long and come back in the evening and not be able to see the kids more during the day. I have some dreams. I don't know if they'll become realities, but I would like to, the main thing that I'd like to do is establish myself professionally so that I can take care of my family and have a good lifestyle and not be completely tied to my profession. And that's a tough thing to do because it seems like the more and more you get involved in the profession, the more and more time it takes. But one of my goals is to try to create a lifestyle such that we have a good income, a good living, and yet plenty of time for the family, which is the most important part of my life.
Along with Craig Masback and Bill Rogers as we come down to the final stretch of the second heat. Again, we have those heat situations evident here in the steeplechase, the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase, 3,280 yards, just shy of 2 miles, 28 3-foot-high hurdles, 7 water jumps, which are 12 by 12, water level, even with the track. Runner must go over or through the water, and he can place his foot on each hurdle. The distance between each hurdle, 90 yards.
We've had Henry Marsh doing his usual routine, moving up from the back of the pack. He's now passing the Kenyan who led most of the race, Micah Boyne, an unknown. The Soviet and an East German from the GDR there is leading.
That's Matychenko, Bill, from the USSR. He beat the East Germans in a dual meet just 2 weeks ago, and that's Meltzer of East Germany in second. But this is a beautiful setup. This is a beautiful setup for Henry Marsh, just the kind of race he likes. It always comes down to this, where Henry uses his wonderful hurdle technique to catch up over the last few hurdles on the last lap.
The problem here is that the Soviet made a move with about 300 yards to go. It's a long move, and whether Henry can catch him in time, I think he may have taken him by surprise.
Well, the key here is that Henry's got to keep his concentration while he's going over the hurdles. That's what makes the steeplechase such an interesting event. You've got a stamina event, a long-distance event, but you've also got to keep the hurdles in mind. You've got to use good technique over them.
The Soviets stumbled, and Marsh is catching up. It's a three-man race coming around the bend. Here's Marsh picking up on the outside.
This is where Marsh hit the last hurdle in the World Championships and fell to the ground. He's had trouble with these last hurdles in the past, but now it's a sprint to the finish.
Henry Marsh on the outside.
These Germans moved ahead,
but the East German is going to win it.
That's a real upset. Charlie Hagen-Meltzer of East Germany. He was beaten by Marsh just 4 or 5 days ago. He was only 5th in the World Cup last year when Marsh was 2nd. That's a real upset for him, and it's really Marsh, Bill, didn't seem to have the usual
great
sprint.
race. It was a great race, and I think the Soviet kind of, you know, they all know Henry Marsh has been around 10 years. He always used the same tactics, and they kind of tricked him a little bit. They moved early. They know his tactics now, and Henry ran tough to the end. He ran 2nd. He got the silver, but he still got that little jinx hanging over him at the big championships.
Well, he's 32 years of age, ranked #1 in the world a year ago, finishes 2nd, but again, we don't know the official results because we have to wait for the results from heat #1, and they'll combine those to give us our top 3 finishers.